The day is finally upon us. Hail and huzzah. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, or Dad Hat for the cool and in the know has finally been released, even though it has been out since at least South by Southwest. But now, finally, after last week's preview showing and last night's fan access showing that netted me this map of Faerun and concept art, Dad Hat is in wide release. Since I've seen the movie twice now, I thought I would break down each time in the movie that a character might have had a critical success if this were an actual play game. And of course, I'll tell you where I think every natural one was rolled. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. Then come back here and watch this, because there will be major spoilers ahead. In the first sequence, Edgin tries to sing a song that recurs throughout the film. His performance check fails and he's told to be quiet. Soon after, Edgin and Holga are giving their statements and asking for parole, but Edgin has a plan. He tries to stall for the Chancellor Jonathan to enter the room. He tells a fairly compelling story, but you can tell that this was a skill check. Some of the roles didn't work, such as when he tried to go back way too far in his story. Speaking of that story, when relating his first attempt at a break-in, he smashes and grabs in broad daylight. That must have been a natural 20, the way that he gets away with it. However, when Edgin and Holga meet Sofina, they must not have rolled very high on their perception because she looks shifty right away. Speaking of failed rolls, Edgin fails to detect a trap on the resurrection tablet he's looking for. He must have fallen for the old trap hook. Seems that there isn't a trap. A low roll for sure, if not a critical fail. However, when he and Holga bust out of prison, knocking Jonathan through a glass window, that must have been a natural 20 to fly and steer the bird boy down. Would that be animal handling? They steal horses pretty quickly after that, and it must have been a pretty easy difficulty check for them to learn that Forge is the Lord of Neverwinter. He has plastered his face everywhere, after all. In the scene where they meet with Forge and he goes on about the tea being too hot, Holga and Edgin seem to fail an insight check to see if Forge is telling the truth. Edgin also fails to persuade Kira the truth of what happened to him. After Kira angrily walks out, Edgin and Holga learn that truth very quickly, that they are not with friends. Sofina turns the floor into quicksand. Holga gives us some impressive rolls as they escape from execution, and it's time to meet up with Simon the Sorcerer. He appears not to be doing too well with magic, but his spell collecting the coins from the local townspeople seems to be working for him. When he is caught, however, it's a wild magic surge that allows him to escape, reversing gravity. Just like Holga and her father, Kira fails to sense Forge's motives in their interactions. The party recruits Doric after watching her use her wild shape ability to liberate a wood elf of the Emerald Enclave. There's a brief pause where Edgin explains that he makes new plans whenever his plans fail, and Doric needles him about making failing plans. This reflects the kind of talk around an RPG table of finding gentle fun at the expense of other characters. Doric infiltrates Neverwinter in order to learn the magic protecting the vault, but she fails to remain hidden in her wild shape, though she does eventually prevail in her mad scramble to get away from Sofina. When discussing how to get past the spell on the door, Holga passes a history check and knows exactly where to ask about a specific helmet that they need. The characters take their time with a talk with the dead spell, but just like a real party might, they mess up their questions and have to keep asking different corpses until they have a full picture. The group meets up with Paladin Zank, who is either the DM's insert character or a player who shows up only for a few sessions before wandering off. They meet him as he expertly removes the Tabaxi child from a giant fish's mouth. As the group descends into the Underdark, they manage to avoid intellect devourers with pretty high stealth checks all around, though not without bruised egos. However, that success is met with an immediate natural one as Simon triggers the destruction of a bridge they must cross, right in the middle of Zank explaining a puzzle. But this leads to a high Arcana check where Simon recognizes a hither to their staff, precisely useful for the situation. It's almost as if a frustrated DM had to change the item so his story could progress. After gaining the helmet that they need, the characters face off with stay-in characters, though Paladin/DM insert Zank does most of the work. The adventure continues immediately as a very fat dragon begins chasing the characters through the Underdark. Zake smites the dragon with an impressive blow, though it takes a little more maneuvering to escape the monster. With the helmet available, Simon tries to attune to it. However, he hasn't yet spent as much time as needed with that helmet for the attunement. And the story beat here is that he doesn't yet believe in himself enough in order to use its magic. The party switches to another plan thinking with portals. Enchanting an item with a portal, they try to heist it into a wagon. There are 3 or 4 fails and successes in a row in this excellent scene. However, this doesn't seem to work and the party splits up. Doric tries to inch her way as a worm, oh that's clever, into the vault. The others try to sneak past the guards while maintaining an illusion spell of Edge in play. That goes wrong when Simon botches his stealth check and gets stuck on some stones. Holga ends up fighting, while Edgen stealthily succeeds in sneaking into the vault to meet up with Simon, who is finally attuned to the helmet. They are all caught, however, directly after this, and only a very successful persuasion check from Edgen allows the whole party to be placed in a Iceland game, where they will surely die. Stalked by Displacer Beast, the group manages to avoid death by hiding inside a gelatinous cube. That's cool, so I assume the DM of the game allowed it per rule of cool. The group makes it to Forge's boat, where he threatens Kira. However, Holga launches a potato at him, which is a direct hit. Kira and Simon and Doric and Holga and Edgen turn towards the sea and start to get away from Neverwinter. That's when they spot the danger to the town. Edgen begrudgingly turns back to help. However, in the fight against Sophina that follows, Edgen is caught in a rope he was using, losing some of his actions that way. He and Holga are also trapped in a bubble, so their saving throws during this fight were not going very well. All's well that ends well, though. Forge fails a perception check at the end and slams himself right into a brick wall in the prison, just where the window used to be for Jarnathan. I believe that's about 16 specific failures. That's more than enough for a player to send their dice to dice jail, but that's the point of the movie. That's the point of Edgen's speech in the 3rd act. To borrow a phrase from Dwarf Fortress, losing is fun. What do you think? Did I misunderstand a roll and the result? Did I miss a critical success or fail that you just know happened at the table? Let me know in the comments, and please do all those usual YouTube things like giving a like, giving a follow, and rewarding yourself by clicking that beautiful bell. I'll see you next time.